just turns into this stop. That's all you do.
Teachers gotta be able to
It's
snack over there.
yeah, everything's working, so that's the hardest
Okay.
problem. You know, is that
Okay.
sometimes it's not always working. It's working now. If you do take a break, just hit the pause and come back into the pause again.
I'll just pause it then, and then when we get yourself spaced up. So, let's see, we have what, 10 people here right now?
I guess they will continue to come in.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm Mary Hanneman, yeah.
I'm Yili.
So, and Will McGuire, who's the third faculty leader of the group, is in class right now. He'll be coming shortly, as soon as he finishes up with his class. So, you guys got the email, obviously, about what we're gonna be doing today. We're going to basically talk first about passports and visas. We'll talk about making travel arrangements. We'll talk a little bit about what to bring, kind of stuff, and money, cell phones, communication, laptop, all that kind of stuff, okay? And I imagine that you guys all, I hope, have a bunch of questions, so we'll try to save some time for questions. We will be having a couple more orientations before we go, and so this is the first and last opportunity to talk to us, okay, about your questions. So, what to do?
Let's begin with passport, I guess, and then visa. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, how many people have passports?
Passport?
Is there anyone who doesn't yet have a passport? And have you applied yet for a passport?
That was my question, because I was waiting to the first orientation to do so I had everything clarified. But on the website, the UW website says that everything will do the first, but it says it takes about 4 to 6 months to process.
Yeah, you probably should get, at this point,
If you pay a little more, yeah, they will do it faster.
I paid for expediting and overnight shipping. It cost me an extra $40, and I got it in 8 business days,
Oh, okay, good news.
start to finish.
the thing is that once you apply for a visa, it takes about 8 to 10 days, so it's good, that's something that if you don't have that stuff, it's an absolute no-go, so.
No, I meant the passport, sorry. I don't know about the visa.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we'll talk about the visa right next time. So for those of us who have the passport, I want you to send me a copy of that page with your picture on it.
just take a picture with your phone and send it
Yeah,
to.
and send it to me, because I need to collect those and send it off to the Chinese side. In the past, that is the way it goes. And usually, if you provide a letter of invitation with which you need, you can apply for your Chinese visa. To Taiwan, we don't need a visa, but to China, you do.
American
I have a
passport.
question. So, since we are going to Taiwan too, however, our passport is Chinese passport.
I will
So-
talk about that right away. Should I talk about it? How many of us hold a Chinese passport? 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe I saw the name on the list. It's like 5 people.
Why don't we, maybe you guys could, at the end, just
We'll
talk
talk about
specifically
separately.
about, because that'll be
Okay.
some pretty detailed,
Yeah.
separate information. Let's let Bill introduce himself.
Hi. Some of you recognize, hello, good to see you again. My name is Will McGuire. I'm a professor of economics here, and I'm going to be teaching, I forget the name of the course now, it's East Asian economy, something like that. And I'm going to be responsible for that part of the program.
So just so far, one person who doesn't have the passport yet, is that right? Yeah, so go ahead and get started on that ASAP. For those of you who have a US passport, then, everyone, unless you're, everyone will need a special permission of some sort to enter China, correct? Even if
Right.
you're, or,
Right.
no, for the Chinese
We'll say-
nationals, you'll need permission to enter
Right.
Taiwan.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Taiwan entry permit with you guys later after the big session is over. But I believe there's one individual holding a Taiwan passport. Is she coming? Coco, I believe, that's the name. She
I
can
don't know
come
if
today.
Coco is going to be. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But for her, there's no problem, either side.
Anyway, we have a really interesting mix of participants this year because we've got U.S. nationals, Taiwan nationals, and Chinese nationals. And I think it will be really great news to have. Maybe we should close since we're recording this. So let me get the screen down and I'll show you the visa application form. And then we'll talk also about how to apply for a visa if you have a U.S. passport, okay?
No. Turn the projection.
Thank you. Oh, projector not warmed up yet, so. Yeah, so
Any more questions about a visa and passport?
in order to apply for a visa to China, your passport actually has to be delivered to the consulate. And you can either take it to yourself if you want to take a trip down to San Francisco.
It's lovely
Or
in San Francisco.
usually what people do is they send it to a visa service that then takes the passport to the consulate. So,
Here.
It costs you a little bit, about $20, $30, sometimes more, but it's easier. It's easier. And one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that you can try to, not that you will get it, you can try to apply for a 10-year visa, which allow you to enter China again and again and again in a 10 years period of time.
Do all of us have?
we all have.
Yeah, we three all.
So
Yeah.
this is the actual form that you fill out, but that will be filled out when you go to the visa application service. You fill out a questionnaire that will populate this form. So anyway, you can take a look at this and see all of the information that is needed, name, passport number, expiration date, all of that kind of stuff. We have to provide you with a couple of pieces of information in order for you to fill this out, including, including your itinerary in China with dates. You know, when are you going to get there? When are you leaving? That's when what is really the critical thing. And then the name of your inviter in China. And so we need to have.
I have all this here. Should I write it down?
Sure, that'd be great.
I just got it yesterday, last night.
So why don't you be writing that on the board? That is for section 2. Well, it doesn't really matter because the form that they're going to be writing in is a little bit different. So we'll provide that information. The other thing that I want you all to take note of is that although you're going to be students there, you actually will be applying for a tourist visa, okay? You're not applying for a student visa, you're applying for a tourist visa because you're not going to be entering China as an official student of a Chinese institution. You're a student of an American institution studying at a Chinese institution, if that makes sense to you. Anyway, so that's the other thing is that you'll click this, or, you're going to be applying for a tourist visa. Okay. The other thing that I want you to take note of is that you also, so you will be sending your passport away, which I know some people get a little bit nervous about that, but it's secure, the way they have it set up is quite secure. And the other thing is I believe that you need a passport photo to submit with your visa application. So this is what the form looks like, which you're actually not going to be filling out this form. What you're going to be doing is going to this A. Briggs website, okay? So the address is just abriggs.com. And the reason that we suggest this service is because the University of Washington has a special relationship with A. Briggs that reduces the cost somewhat. So when you come to this site at account login, you just type UW, and that will get you to the University of Washington portal into the A. Briggs visa service. Okay, yeah.
What about folks like me who are not matriculated?
Just put UW, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So now you come here, state of residence. Why do they want to know? Because these applications will go to San Francisco, which is responsible for the Western jurisdiction. Where are you going? You're going to China. Purpose of your trip is tourist. Okay. And then then you just basically walk through this whole program, come down here, start your order, and there's all kinds of, like, when do you need your passport back? I always fudge a little bit and say I need it a week before I actually have to leave.
Ideally, before you leave would be good.
And then,
Well, before you leave would be
Do
good.
you have to have an itinerary, like tickets for this information, or just kind of?
you have to have your itinerary, because this is the information that you put on here is what is, Briggs is gonna populate that form that we just looked at.
So send them your passport and a copy of your tickets,
I
right?
don't know if you need a
No,
copy of your plane
I don't think you
ticket.
need a copy of your plane tickets.
In the past, I think I would read the requirements carefully, because I think that I've had to in the past submit some kind of proof that I'm going to China, so you would have to probably submit a copy of this letter
Yeah.
that Dr. Lee mentioned. I think that'll be sufficient.
Okay.
So
But double
then,
check that.
then you just go through all of this, if I click on next, they're not gonna let me go any further because I haven't filled this out, but you can, it's pretty self-explanatory, it's fairly user-friendly, but that's the visa application information for those of you who hold US passports. And then, so in addition to this information, right, we'll need a letter
We
from-
need a letter of invitation issued and signed by this guy, Wang Keming. And then with that, you can send it together as part of the package of your visa application.
So when will they be getting that when will we have that letter that we can then give to them?
Once I collect, I need your passport number, the name, date of birth, which the sooner I have, the faster I can get the invitation letter for you. So whenever you have a chance, take a picture of your passport and send it to me. For you, and you may be a few days late, but we can set up your invitation somehow separately. I think I'm thinking about having this piece an invitation for the late comers.
We've done that before, so it's not a huge deal.
So the other thing is that if we have a picture of the information page of your passport, and that we want it from everybody. That way, if you lose your passport,
Right.
we have a much easier way to go about like going through the rigmarole of taking care of that situation. Okay.
Is that 1251 Sunbelt or
Where?
1251, right?
1251, the address.
Oh, yeah, yes. 1251, that's right. Oh.
So it doesn't look like it's
Aesthetically better.
So, are there any questions about any of the visa application stuff?
So I've had my passport for quite some time now, and I don't know if I actually have the pictures anymore. Is
You
there?
can get another picture.
And actually, you should double check, because I think that they modified the picture requirement, so it's not exactly the same as the passport picture requirement. They tell you a specific size that you need. So double check on here, it'll explain exactly what you need, and then you might even need to trim a passport photo or something to make sure that it fits, but they are very, very particular about the photos. So make sure that you carefully read the instruction for the photo and you follow it to the letter.
This Briggs service also has a telephone number that you
Yeah.
can call if you have specific questions. And I don't know what I was going to say about that.
And they're pretty quick. There is an expedited service that you can pay for if you need to, but I'm trying to remember. I think they usually turned it around to me within 2 weeks or something like that.
At least, I've had, the last time I did it was like a week. They tell you,
Yeah.
and they adhere to that. If they
Yeah.
say it's going to be back within 7 days, I've never had a bad experience with Chinese visa or with this service, so it's pretty reliable.
A side note to this is that the Chinese consulate people, they often travel around within the jurisdiction. Seattle is part of the jurisdiction, and the one in San Francisco. When they happen to travel to here, they will set up a little kind of a temporary office right here in downtown Seattle, where you can just go and wait in line and present your passport with standing for you right there on the spot. But I'm not quite sure whether or not between now and the time we leave, whether or not they will come to Seattle.
We won't.
Yeah, let's not bet on that.
So this service, is it for passports and visa or just the visa?
This is just for visa. So I sent out I think there was a link to information about passport. So the passport is one separate thing altogether. And once you have your passport, then you go about doing this. Oh, I remember the other thing I was going to say, and Andrew, this might apply in your case, I don't know, but generally they say that your passport has to be valid for 6 months after the, so just that's another reason that you should check the validity of your passport and when it expires. Because you want to make sure that you've got a 6-month lease padding on the other side of the trip. Okay? So I can't think of anything else about this process. Dr. Leaney, once you send your information to him about, passport information, make sure that it's clear in terms of that he can read the number, the name, birth date, expiration date, all of that stuff when you take the picture and send it. Okay. So once you send that to him, he can get going on getting the official letter of invitation issued, and we'll get that out to you, and then you'll be ready to go on applying for your visa. Okay?
So, any question?
Yeah, sorry I came in a bit late, but I was wondering, when we do take the picture of the passport and send that to you, what are we sending to that address?
You're not sending anything to this address.
Okay.
So this is information that you'll need in order to put on the visa application form.
Oh, okay.
So this is the name of the inviter in China.
Right,
Yeah.
right, you need this information,
Yeah.
right, to complete the form here.
Okay? All right, yeah. So, next thing, travel arrangements?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, who wants to do that? Is that you? Okay.
I just messed around a little bit with this before our meeting. I went to 2 reliable sites, kayak.com. Did you get kayak.com?
I think I went with C-Trip, actually.
C-Trip?
Yeah.
Dr. Lee went with Cheapo Air,
Cheapo
which
Air.
never has inspired a lot of confidence in me, but I've used them before, they do good work. So what we're gonna have you guys do is book basically a multi-city flight, right?
Right.
Okay. Multi-city flight, let me go back.
Yeah, I can show that.
So, it gives you these options: round trip, one way, multi-city. So you're going to go from Seattle to Taipei, and you have to make sure that you leave in time to get there. They're supposed to arrive on the 24th, correct?
Correct. Because the program officially begins on the 25th. So you don't want to arrive on the 25th. You have to arrive the day before.
So which is a Sunday, Sunday,
Right.
June 24th. Then you'll be all ready to go for when the program officially begins on June 25th, Monday.
Excuse me, sorry. I was planning on arriving earlier than that, like 2 or 3 days earlier, to arrange some interviews and some research for other classes I'm taking, since I happen to be there. It's perfect.
Sure.
Is that doable? Is that something that can be done?
So you can certainly arrive earlier, but since the program won't start, I don't think we can necessarily guarantee you lodging. So you'll probably have to arrange your own lodging, unless we can work out some kind of separate agreement for that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, all right, let's see. If they leave on the 23rd, they would,
Well, here's an important thing to note. There's a significant time
like a
difference.
16-hour time difference.
So,
They're 16 hours
they're
ahead.
far
So,
ahead. Yeah. So when you look at these flights, make sure that you look at the arrival time. So that'll be reported in the local time. So make sure that you keep an eye, because it could be that if you book like a really late flight, you're going to end up arriving on Monday anyway.
Yeah.
Even though you're leaving like really late on Saturday, just because there's such a big time difference. So
Yeah.
keep an eye on that.
I think it's like 16 hours or something ahead, all right? So,
Is that right?
Yeah.
16 hours? Yeah.
16
Okay.
hours.
so then for the multi-city, you're departing out of Xiamen, coming back to Seattle. However, if you don't want to come back to Seattle on July 24th or 22nd, you don't have to. You just, the point is the program is over. We're done with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we still expect your assignments later, but you're free to do whatever you want after that point. So if you know, family in China, or you want to be back in Taiwan, or you want to go on to Vietnam or whatever, that's fine with us. It's up to you.
Yeah, except one thing, except that if you arrive earlier, like Peter tried to do, or you leave later, stay a few more days in China, the program is not responsible for covering your lodging and things.
Or getting you to the airport.
Right. The program now covers your airport pickup and airport drop off. But if you leave a day or 2 or 3 days earlier or later, we will not be able to cover that.
Does that make sense?
So if you extend the trip either within China at the end or to some other nearby country, does that need to be on the itinerary for the visa application?
No. The China part, for the China visa application, only China. Although it does ask what countries have you been in before. I think where have
I
you
think
been right
maybe in
before?
the customs declaration form, you'll have to report
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Can you
think
just
on
say
the visa
a lot?
application it might.
Okay.
Yeah, we should not be vague on the official paperwork. The
So-
other thing I would just say, you should also double check, so all of you are qualified for certain insurance as part of the study abroad program, and I believe that the insurance can be extended beyond the official end date of the trip, but double check that just to make sure that you still have coverage if you decide to overstay the official program.
Just for what it's worth. I bought the insurance.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I am TRICARE Prime, so I'm covered anywhere.
Okay.
Regardless.
Yeah, so also look at the other insurance that you carry, yeah.
So, okay.
So coming back to this then, let's see where this gets us. And we'll also see where, what time we arrive. Don't be shocked by the first prices that come up. Let it do its thing.
I've been getting $1,500 to $1,700 depending.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah,
See, there you
It
go,
comes
yeah.
down.
But you also got to look at the travel time too, right? Because some of these tickets want to have you stay in, I don't know,
Yeah.
Vancouver for 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
So this +2 means that you're leaving on, what did I put in, the 20?
23rd?
Third.
It says at the top of the page.
Yeah, so this +2, in other words, this isn't going to work, right? Because you're leaving on June 23rd +2, that means you arrive there at 10:45 on the 25th, which is the first day of the program. So that's why you have to pay attention to your arrival times. Okay, so we can also go. I don't know. Should we take time to do this? Go over to Cheapo Air and take
Well,
a look?
the other thing I would just want to add is this is for the simplest possible itinerary. It's also possible to get cheaper flights if you don't fly out of Xiamen. You could also, for example, fly out of Shanghai. That's something that we looked at as we were looking for our tickets. And so that cuts down substantially on the price of the ticket because you're not making the connecting flight within China. But that means you have to get yourself somehow from Xiamen to Shanghai. And so, yeah, you can take the train. Yeah. And that would be pretty easy. And you can book train tickets online. You can go to ctrip.com, and I'm not like shilling for them, by the way. But you can book your train tickets online and set that up. You can also book accommodations on there if you want to do that. So there's a few parameters that you can play with if you're worried about the price. So think about maybe other cities you can depart from. Maybe you could consider, I guess, if you want to stay another day. It might be easier to find a ticket, but then again, you would be responsible for your own lodging and transportation if it's outside the parameters of the program. Okay, but there's lots to think about with the tickets.
The students of China here in the program, there's few people, and they can help you.
Yes, we just volunteered.
I can help you.
Yeah.
How far is Xiamen from Shanghai? So it's not that far.
I mean, if you take the Gautier, how long would that be?
2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah, 2 or 3 hours.
So the other thing is that once I have a question for you guys. So far when I've been emailing you, I've put all of your email addresses in BCC because I didn't know whether it would be okay to share them with the group. But if it's okay that I make those email addresses public, then we can start emailing each other, hey, I found a great price on Cheapo Air or C-Trip or whatever. And ideally, what usually happens, even though you guys are making your trip arrangements individually, often you'll end up on the same flight, which is great because you can travel together, and it also makes it much easier at the time for airport pickup that, okay, we're gonna have someone out there at 2 o'clock, or whatever time, works out in terms of when the most people are going to arrive. And so that's something, to keep in mind, is that we can kind of touch base with each other about the flight arrangements.
So are we traveling alone?
You're making your travel arrangements alone,
Yes.
but that's what I'm saying is that, you're traveling there and home alone. But don't worry, because look at this whole room full of people who have to be in the same place at the same time, right? So, you can find someone to travel with, okay?
In the end of this session, you guys can exchange phones and
Yeah.
email
And you know what? That's the great thing about study abroad is by the end of the trip, you're going to feel like, I can do that. That's no problem. So,
Did you have a question?
Yeah, does UW use Canvas?
Yes, UW uses Canvas.
Why not set up a notional class for this so we can have a discussion board, trading itineraries and
we do
prices?
have something, we could get that.
We do have a class set up on Canvas. I don't think people have been enrolled in it yet. We could talk about doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not a UW student, just why I didn't see it.
You can
so.
still get added though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah.
I just want to say, so since in China we can't really use Google or something like Gmail, we can't really use it in Google instead. So why not we set up a WeChat?
We will, yeah, we will.
Most of the people will use it
Yeah.
in China.
We'll
so
set up
it's so much
WeChat. That's a
faster.
We can-
great idea. We
we
can do
can
that
do that
today.
today.
We do that every year.
Can I ask actually, how many people here already have WeChat? How many people know what WeChat is? Like group WeChat before? Okay, it's fine, it's fine. So WeChat is a social media thing. It's an app that you get on your phone. It's incredibly useful in China. And it's something that we usually do is we create a little group WeChat so that people can exchange information very easily. WeChat also has all kinds of usage. When you're in China, you can use it for like mobile payments and stuff like that. But I think for us, if we could set up a WeChat, maybe we could try and do that today. If you have your smartphone, if you want to download WeChat, it's free. And then we could set it up, and it's an easy way to share information.
He is shilling for WeChat.
That is true. Yeah. I just got one kwai for shilling for WeChat. Did you want to show cheapo?
Well, here's another,
Yeah. This is
travel
this is
thing.
really good because it shows the variation in price. So here you can see you've got an itinerary that's less than 1,200. So it's important to do some comparison shopping.
Yeah, and this is actually pretty good. Although in this case, you end up getting there a night early. But it's a nonstop flight, Oh no, it's one stop.
Yeah.
11 hours.
Layover.
Oh, yeah,
What's there to do for 11 hours in Xiamen?
yeah.
I want to know
Yeah.
exactly the day we leave from Taipei and go to Xiamen.
That's the Sun. I have to look at
It's on the
the
slide.
calendar. It's a Sunday.
Sunday is July 7th.
So
July 7th, Sunday.
Yes.
it is.
Sunday, July 8th.
Yeah.
So these are our dates. Yeah, the
Yeah.
8th.
So, the 8th, Sunday, we're going to take the ferry, and that's the plan, at least, across the strait to land in mainland.
So we're gonna be together on that day, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just getting to the location and then getting back home.
Wait, hold
That's
on.
my-
Oh, wait, so
We're actually
Taipei to
taking a
Xiamen,
ticket
we're traveling
from
together.
Taipei to.
Right.
Okay. I thought
So-
you guys
so
were
we-
going to
we are
Taipei.
We're going together from Taipei to Xiamen.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
okay, I didn't know
getting
that.
to Taipei, that's your responsibility. Getting home from Xiamen,
So
that's
we
your
need 2 tickets. I thought we had an extra one.
Yeah.
One thing I'll just mention, I know you guys have questions, but we are recording this, and so you can, I'll send out the link tomorrow probably. So if you want to review any information, you can do that. So you have a question?
Yeah, so you're saying that we only need to get a ticket to Taipei, and we're going to take a ferry across the strait.
That's correct.
So we don't need to buy a ticket from Taipei to
Correct.
Jiangnan.
We've got that. We're taking care of it.
You go from Seattle to Taipei, Xiamen to Seattle.
Yeah, I know that we should apply the Taiwan 通行证, but that only allows us to stay at there 15 days.
Yeah, we will stay there shorter than 15 days.
So only 2 weeks.
14
We're only
days,
there for 2
2
weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, but if that you said we can go earlier than other people to pick them up or
I see.
yes, but what
if
if
we go
go
before
early
22?
one day?
We can talk to the Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office right here in Seattle. We'll ask them. I talked to them a few times already. I have the form and everything here for you guys to fill out and to apply for the permit. I will send it to you later. But if we make a special request and say, can you give us like 2 or 3 more days? Hopefully they will say yes. Let's hope. Yeah.
So, you mean after we fill out the permit, which you just talked about it, should we still need to apply like Taiwan visa or something?
They call it permit, entry permit, or the same.
So we don't have to do that again, right, in China? So just after we fill out the form, you just mentioned.
Right. But after you leave Taiwan, you want to go back to Taiwan again?
Yeah, I know that. It just,
If you do, and then it will be up to you. It will be just like you stay extra days. You will have to do it
Alright,
yourself.
sure.
Why don't we, since everyone who's coming is here, let's take a time to go around the room and have everyone just introduce yourselves, tell your name, maybe your major, what school you're at, something like that. How would that be?
Sure.
So who wants to get started, Andrew?
So my name's Andrew Vogelstone. I am a PPE major at Tacoma.
Okay, my name is Anne, I'm in global studies, and after the trip, I'm planning on going to Vietnam for 2 weeks if anyone wants to join me.
My name's Nadia. I am communications. And what was the? Was that it?
Anything else you want to add?
What, sophomore?
Oh, like going to PCU.
I'm Quentin. I'm a business major. I go here at UNT.
Oh, and also if you could tell where you park.
Oh, I don't
No, I'm just joking.
I'm Ben. I'm a PPE major, and I come here.
What's PP&E?
philosophy, political science, philosophy, and economy.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, sorry.
Okay, so my name is CW, just CW, and more Chinese. Yeah, same TP major. Well, wait, what's the question again? Where do
No,
you
I'm just
park?
joking. I want to get some tips on where to
All
park.
right.
My name is Chen Xing, so I'm also a PPE major. So I'm Chinese too, so if you have a question from China, so you can ask me.
My name is Peter Bland. You can call me Blandtastic if you like. I am, notionally, I guess, a sophomore at TCC. Go Titans. Took a lot of classes from Dr. Lee here. He's awesome. So, yeah, good stuff. Next.
Why don't we get these 3?
Yeah.
We're going to skip you.
Okay, I'm Edward, and I'm Chinese, so in PBE major here. And if you guys, after you sign up at WeChat, and we can check out for some Chinese information if I know.
My name is Qidan Pang, and I'm junior, and I guess Chinese.
I'm Shi Chao. You guys can call me Sylvia. Marketing major and Chinese also.
My name is Nicholas Holheisel. I go to TCC and I study Pacific Rim interactions, which is East Asian history, philosophy, economics, things like that. Just saying.
Yes, my name is Sun Yi, also Chinese, study finance here.
I'm Sarah. I go here. I'm majoring in social studies. And I would appreciate it if I could get 3 people so that I can take it with me.
I'm Malcolm. I'm a law and policy major, and I'm a junior here.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, so in terms of other business, I mean, is there any other administrative stuff we need to do?
Well, we need to talk about kind of what to bring, money, cell phones, and laptop stuff.
Yeah.
So, you guys got the packing list thing that I sent out. If you let me know if you have any questions. I sent out 2. One of them is prepared. I don't know, you sent me one.
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah, I think it's one that I got in 2015. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Same one, yeah.
Oh, well, so maybe Leah did too. His daughter,
A while ago, yeah, was a participant in the same program, my daughter. So she's very good at watching for the little things and to come up with a packing list.
Yeah, so it's super organized. So take a look at that. Why don't we save that for later when we've covered some other things and you guys have been able to think about planning and stuff a little bit more and look over those packing lists, and then if you have questions we can talk about it with an orientation. So also, do you want to talk about cell phone stuff?
Sure. Yeah, so one of the other documents that got sent around was information about cell phones. It was a very long document. So a lot of people want to know if they can use their American cell phone in China. And the answer generally is it depends. So you have to, the first thing that you should do is contact your provider. They're really the ones who can answer that question definitively. So you have to make sure that, first of all, your phone is unlocked and that you're able to bring it and use it on a different network. You also have to make sure that you have the right type of phone. So China, I believe, has a different technology that they use with it depends on the band, whether you're talking like LTE or 3G or 2G or whatever. So you also might want to look at, if you have, for instance, an iPhone, you can go to Apple's website and then you can actually look up if it's compatible with the major carriers in China. There's a website actually, I think it's called frequencycheck.com, and what you can do is they have a whole list of phones, and you can type in your type of phone, and then, actually, maybe I can just bring this up.
Would it be possible just to get a burner phone, like a flip phone over there?
You can also just buy a phone, yeah, if you're, oops.
Spend $50 on a burner phone,
I think I just closed out the slides, unfortunately.
I would say it's not a big deal, actually, since it's not a contract phone. You buy something like that, let's say if you buy an iPhone, there's 2 versions, right? The contract one and the free one. And you have to use the, well, since the free unlocked one so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think more and more it's pretty easy to do. There's also a question, so right now the website's not working, but it's Frequency Check is the name of the website. There's also a question of, do you want to use your provider's roaming service? So for instance, I have Verizon, and you can pay a certain amount of money per day to use your phone while you're in China or Taiwan. That can get kind of expensive, so what some people do instead is they get a SIM card. So you could also get a SIM card from the mobile providers in China and in Taiwan and just swap that into your phone. But again, that's an area where you want to make sure that your phone will actually work with another SIM card. So you can check the document that we sent around. That has pretty exhaustive instructions on what to look for and how to do it. Personally, what I do is I buy a SIM card from a retailer, an online retailer, and I have that delivered to me in the United States, so that when I arrive in China, I can just swap the SIM card, and now I have a phone that works. You can also wait until you get to China, and then you can go to a store and buy a SIM card there, and that would honestly be the cheapest way to do it. But again, it's kind of complicated. Definitely check the document, definitely check with your provider, because there's kind of simple, expensive ways to do it, and then there are cheaper, more complicated ways to do it, and it's really about your level of comfort. And I'm sure I'm going to once again volunteer our wonderful Chinese students that if you want to get a SIM card, they could probably help you out and do that. Bring you to like a China mobile store or something like that, and help you get a SIM card for your phone. Yeah.
So I have a question for T-Mobile. Whoever's got T-Mobile, if you have like monthly plans, they should be able to give you just request for a code. Email them or call them, they'll have a code for you. And then also the sketchier way to do it, they also have little SIMs thing where you can put the Chinese like foreign provider SIMs that will override your locked phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it usually works for iPhones. Samsungs are a bit harder, like it's harder to override the system on Samsungs, but if you can find that, it's a sketchier way, but it's the cheaper way, and it worked for me with an iPhone.
Okay.
So.
I don't know if we can officially endorse that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you can just get a cheap smartphone.
Or, yeah, the other option is you can just go there and buy a cell phone.
Oh yeah, what my friend is, we got a phone that is able to have hotspot, and we just bought like a really big data plan and just have the hotspot on the whole time, and we share like 3 different phones.
You can do that too.
On one
but-
phone.
Or, you know, you could be like me and just be glad to be getting away from your life.
You can do that too. You could use this as a chance to
Check your
disconnect,
email
take in
once
the
a
world
day.
around you. Yeah. Although that means you won't get those WeChat updates.
So that's the other thing, I would just reiterate what Dr. Meyer said, that you should definitely call your provider and figure it out from that
That's the
angle.
first step.
You know,
Yeah.
that's your kind of first thing to do. The other thing is that, as he mentioned earlier, and you guys were saying Google, you're not gonna get Google in China, you're not gonna get Facebook in China, you're not gonna get YouTube in China. So, you know, be prepared for that. And you guys last year had some difficulty using.
So there's an issue with Canvas actually. So right now, so you might be aware of the internet restrictions in China, and right now they apply to Amazon's cloud-based computing services. And unfortunately, Canvas uses those Amazon Web Services in order to serve content. So the issue we were having last year when we were in Kaifeng was that students could log into Canvas, but then they would wait forever to actually get some kind of like a file downloaded, or even I think to have the graphics load on the page. And so that's due to the internet restrictions. So we are still working to figure out some kind of a workaround while we're in China. All of that stuff will work in Taiwan. So those restrictions don't exist in Taiwan. They're only in China. And so we'll figure out some way to get around that. But it might be some combination of just email and WeChat. And I kind of thought it would be a cool idea to just have like flash drives. You know? And we could just load up flash drives and say, here you go, and then we'll collect them from you or something. You know? So just be aware that that stuff is blocked. The other thing I will say, VPNs. So VPNs are a very sticky legal issue in China right now. Yeah. So I don't think that we can actually advise that you get one. I can just say that people have had some success bypassing restrictions with VPNs without endorsing that you do that. Because China is cracking down on VPNs, and it's kind of unpredictable which ones they will crack down on and which ones they will allow to continue operating. I'm not sure exactly what the law is. I think technically there are laws against the use of VPNs. So it might just be something to stay away from, and just you'll have to tolerate 2 weeks of no Google. Okay. So that also means, I know some people access email and cloud storage through Google for UW. So you'll have to find another way to access your files and your email while you're in China. So you will not be able to have direct access to your email if it's being served through Gmail. Okay. But again, all of this stuff does not apply to Taiwan. It's just that 2 weeks that we spend in China.
Well, another side note about your electric appliance and computer. Remember, the plug is somehow different.
Yeah.
I will try to get a converting sort of a port for you, but and you can get one over there too. To convert to so that your plug can get in. The 3 holes are different.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that.
Also, with that, it's been my experience traveling a lot. You know, this if you get the cheap ones, you can plug in your laptop, and it might work, might not. You plug in a hairdryer, worked. So you just spend the extra $5 to get a good one.
Also, I would say some people, what they will do is instead of just buying one particular plug converter, you can get a power strip. And sometimes that's a little more helpful if you have multiple appliances that you want to keep plugged in. So you might want to look into that.
Yeah, like most laptops are good anywhere in the world.
Most laptops should be fine. I think your iPhone is fine.
The brick that comes with most cell phones you can use anywhere in the world.
This would be okay.
Yeah, so if they look like this, you should be okay, except notice there's no grounding pin. So this is why you need sometimes to get these converters.
So otherwise there's, well, that one does have the
a
grounder.
So it really, it varies from place to place even, what the plugs look like.
I have one of those, they usually sell like a cube with like a bunch of different plugs.
Right.
And those might be really
Yeah.
So where are we living during the two plays? The university or?
Say it again.
Where are we living?
Oh, yeah, in the university, on campus. Well, this one for sure. I'm still waiting for the finalization from the Taiwan side. But I think that we're going to stay on campus or very close to campus. And this one we do stay on campus.
Yeah, if we're not on campus, we're right off campus, definitely walking this.
Right.
Which university are we going to in Taipei?
Furen. Have you heard about it? Furen University is a private Catholic school.
Okay.
It's quite good. You can just Google it and you will pop up right away.
There's the Wikipedia. Yeah, so this is where
here you go. Yeah, the pictures and everything is very, well, when you introduce Taipei, city Taipei to them, and we can say a few things about it. Great.
So,
Would you have to do your...
well, yeah, I accidentally closed the slides.
You did?
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any way to get them again.
I thought we are going to Shanghai.
No, unfortunately we're not. Sorry about that.
You told me that we are going to Shanghai.
I think originally we were trying, remember that, but it didn't work out. So we're doing Xiamen Institute of Technology.
The Xiada, the International Education Program of Xiamen Daxue, is located far, far away. In almost Zhangzhou, like 2 hours bus ride. Quite sure it's longer.
Yeah.
We're not getting into too many details. I have physical limitations, disabilities. How much walking around are we going to be on?
We usually do a fair amount of walking around.
A mile or two, I'm fine. Getting into 4 or 5 miles, I start having problems.
I can't think of a time we've ever walked more than like a mile. I mean, it might be if we go to a park or something like that, but then it's more like a sightseeing thing. So if you want to just sit down and hang out, that's fine.
Right. Sometimes when we visit some museum, just walking around in the museum will be more than 1 mile. But good thing is that you can always sit down.
Nope, I don't know. So.
Oh, maybe
can you? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I put together just a little like program overview thing. We've covered a lot of this stuff already before. Here are our dates. So we'll be spending the first 2 weeks in Taipei, and then the last 2 weeks are going to be in Xiamen. We are going to have we don't have the specific schedule finalized yet. We already have it pretty much nailed down, but we don't want to release it until it's finalized. But your days are basically going to be a mixture of classroom lectures. So we will have typically, on a typical day, you'll have 2 classroom lecture sessions, and those will be 2 hours each, I think. Is that right? So you'll be spending 4 hours per day in class, but you're not necessarily doing that every single day. We also have visits to important sites. So we might go out and visit like an interesting company that is going to invite us in and talk about their business or something like that, or we'll go to a museum, we'll go to see like a temple, something like that. And we have also carved out some free time. So there are certain days on the schedule that are designated only as free time, and we do that deliberately because we think a really valuable thing is for you to go out and explore the city on your own. I think that's a pretty important educational aspect of the program. So there's lots and lots of stuff to do. Because we are in these cities, we want you to get out and experience these cities. So while we are going to keep you in classrooms for a portion of the time, we are going to do a lot of exploring. We want to take advantage of the fact that we're actually in the country. So you probably have seen this in case you're wondering where we're going. So this is mainland China, this is Taiwan, this is Taipei, and then this is Shanghai. Because there's a star here, that doesn't mean that like I like this city better than this city. This is just the image I was able to find on the internet. So somebody asked how far away is it? So I mentioned you might be able to fly out of Shanghai. So here's Shanghai right here. So you could take the train from Xiamen to Shanghai. It's a couple hours. You could also probably fly out of Hong Kong, to be honest, or I don't know, Shenzhen or something like that. So take a look around. More complicated? Okay, don't do that. Fly out of Shanghai. Okay.
But if you
This is a WeChat conversation. I think we can talk about this in WeChat. But so what we're going to do, we're going to fly in probably from over here, Taipei 2 weeks. We're going to cross the strait here, and then we'll spend our final 2 weeks here, and then you will have to somehow get yourself home from Xiamen back to Seattle. So this is just some historical weather data, in case you were wondering. This is what the weather looked like in 2017 during that first week of our program. So you can see that the high looks like it was averaging around 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's fairly warm. Yes.
How humid though?
Yes. Pretty humid. 100%. Pretty humid.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. It's a tropical climate. Both of these places have pretty tropical climates.
Well, that little speck of island next to Taiwan, that's Okinawa. I lived on that island for 3 years.
Pretty hot?
Freaking hot.
Yeah.
And so this place is southernmost of that.
So do you have any tips for dealing with the heat?
Dress light, wear sunscreen, drink lots of water. Not soda, not beer.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Don't drink Gatorade, drink water.
And I want to know how many people pre-room you
Per room?
live on campus.
Can we talk about the room later or now?
Well, yeah, well, we can talk about the room now since it came up. Yeah. So the plan is for double rooms. So we are, the standard fee that you have paid to be part of the program covers a double occupancy room for the entire time of the program. If you want, for a fee, we can upgrade you to a single occupancy room. We are still working on the details. Part of this is we're still finalizing things with our partners because we're still a few months out. Okay? But if you're interested in having a single occupancy room, then let us know and we can talk about that, how to make that happen. Otherwise, we would invite you to, if you already know somebody here, maybe you want to be roommates with them, or it's a good chance to get to know somebody. We're happy to kind of randomly assign rooms, but if there's somebody that you want a room with, just let us know and we can make that happen.
So I want to make sure you have air conditioning.
Yes, there will be air conditioning, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be hot. So you probably can leave your heavy coat at home. How many people here have been to Taipei? Oh, did you have a question? Yeah.
I need one more girl in here because there's like more money kind of stuff.
So there's also people who aren't able to be here today.
Okay.
So there are some people who are coming from the other campuses.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not necessarily gonna like force you to do the single room. Okay. So we're still hoping that we can pair everybody.
Alright.
But if you want a single room, just let us know. Something I will just say, I did a study abroad when I was an undergraduate in China, and I really actually appreciated having a roommate. And sometimes the relationship doesn't work that well, but it's sometimes nice to have someone that you can kind of decompress with or talk about stuff with at the end of the day, because you're going to be in, maybe a city you've never been to before. It might be kind of stressful. So it's kind of nice to be able to share the experience with someone. Again, assuming that you have a good relationship with that person. Yeah.
How much money do I need to have in cash?
Yeah. I want to show you something.
You have a WeChat.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you
We
something.
can use WeChat everywhere.
But I think you're asking maybe how much money should you expect to spend day to day?
Well, I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Taiwan and China are places you need to worry about bribes, so that's not a
No.
concern. But some places you need to carry cash around. You just can't function without cash.
You don't worry about the cash.
Yeah.
Because you used to pay
Fair enough,
with.
Yeah, you can actually use WeChat.
Yes.
It's actually pretty amazing.
Very good.
So China is way ahead of the United States in terms of mobile
So
payments.
what is Taiwan?
So you just walk into a store, you get a bill.
So you should be worried about use cash in Taiwan.
Yeah. But even then, you can use a card if you want.
That's been my experience as a conversion rate. There's like 5% surcharge with debit cards.
Depends on your bank, but even then, you can probably just withdraw money from an ATM.
Okay.
Okay.
Like for example, if you're in Japan,
Yeah.
you should carry around $100 in cash. Because you
Okay.
can't use cards and taxis. Things like
Oh. Yeah, taxis, I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably a good idea to carry some cash.
I would say that bring some cash, no matter what.
Yeah. But usually what I have done is I've just withdrawn money from an ATM. And because even if you bring US dollars, you have to convert them. And a lot of times you get gouged when you try to convert it in a physical location. Okay. So the first stop is going to be Taipei. I just pulled together some images to try to illustrate some of the things that we might see while we're there. So Taipei is known, is pretty famous for its street food. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before, or has anybody here been to Taipei before, actually? Oh, I can say anything then. It's perfect. So Taipei is famous for its night markets, and this is just a picture of like some of the food that you can buy walking down the street in these night markets. They're really cool places. It's probably a thing you definitely want to check out because it might otherwise just be too hot to like walk around and go shopping during the day. So if you wait till the sun goes down and it cools off a little bit, the night market is a great place to go travel light. This is just a picture of a random street, but I chose it just to show you, in fact, there is Starbucks. There's also Starbucks in Xiamen. So if you're worried about that, you will have access to it. One thing, I haven't spent a lot of time in Xiamen, but one thing I noticed when I was in Taipei versus like time I spent in Beijing is there is a lot of coffee in Taiwan. Like tons of coffee places. Some of like these really great little locally owned coffee places. There's coffee everywhere. And also, I think as you walk down the street in Taiwan, you'll probably be surprised at the number of like brands that you'll recognize. Like you're definitely going to see McDonald's. You're definitely going to see Starbucks. You're going to see a lot of places. This is also going to be true in Xiamen, by the way. So it's not going to be like a totally foreign place. And it's also, both of these cities are very developed places. They're relatively wealthy.
However, I will say, since we're talking about beverages,
Yeah.
I don't know about in Taiwan or Taipei, but in China you don't drink tap water.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
you, in
Like
China,
you just buy bottles.
you plan to use bottled water or boiled water. If you're having tea, if you're going to a restaurant and they serve you something water-based to drink, don't worry about it. Or you might worry about it a little bit. Just check, that whatever. But yeah, bottled water in China, and I don't know about Taipei.
Taipei, I don't think, I have to double check. I didn't have to worry about it when I was traveling there. I was drinking from the tap and I was okay.
But it is something to remember
Yeah.
when you're in China, you're brushing your teeth, or
Yep.
you're in the shower, or whatever. It's something to be careful about.
But the other thing I'll say is that bottled water is abundant and very cheap.
Yeah.
So you can go to like the convenience store, you go to 7-Eleven or something, and they'll have like these giant jugs of water that you can buy, and it's really cheap. It's like $1.
How do you want
Yeah. So what was that?
Oh, like 2 that much big is about $2.
Oh, $2. Okay. Yeah. Still really cheap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good point though. So do be careful with the wires when you're in China. So a couple of other pictures I pulled here. This is from Yangmingshan. This is the park that we're going to go visit. So this area, I believe actually this is relatively close to Chiang Kai-shek's compound. He had a compound that he maintained in this mountainous area. I don't know if we're going to go see that. Maybe not, but it's kind of interesting. And then this is the monument to Chiang Kai-shek right here. This is his monument hall. So if you go inside this little area right here, and we're going to tour this as well, there's actually like like the Abraham Lincoln statue? There's like the big statue of him. There's one like that of Chiang Kai-shek, who was the leader of Taiwan during this time. And there's also like armed guards that go back and forth, kind of like Tomb of the Unknown Soldier type thing. And they do like a little ceremony where they switch. And if you're standing on these steps and you're looking out, there's also these two other buildings. And the last time that I was there, they actually said they were converting one of those into a museum of human rights, which is kind of interesting. So one of the things we'll talk about in Taiwan is they are dealing with their history of dictatorship, and there's a lot of kind of political debate around that. So we'll talk about all that stuff, but it's a really cool place to go visit too. Very beautiful area. Oh yeah, this, by the way, the reason there's like smoke coming out here, this is a semi-active volcanic site. So there's like hot springs and things here. And so you can't tell from the picture, but it really smells like sulfur when you're standing right here. So lots of cool stuff. Good combination of great food, beautiful city, really amazing natural things to go see that are relatively close. Yeah.
Is there beaches?
Boy, I've never been to the beach in Taipei, but I'm sure. Yeah.
It's very close to the beach.
Yeah, it's very close to the beach. Yeah. Xiamen, definitely, there's beaches. Yeah. Yeah.
So ask Dr. Lee. Culturally, obviously I have tattoos, yeah. In places like Korea and Japan, they're really frowned upon. Is that going to be a problem? Like, should I cover them up?
No, I don't think it's a problem. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I've seen worse case than those.
Well, there's bad tattoos or a thing.
No, you'll be fine. You don't need to worry about that. So the other place we're going is Xiamen, and this is what the weather looked like in 2017 during the first week in which, much cooler by 4 degrees. Yeah. So also still kind of the same deal. It's going to be hot and muggy, and so make sure that you dress appropriately. Drink lots of water. Xiamen, I have not spent as much time in Xiamen, so I don't actually know as much about the city. I pulled some pictures from some kind of famous places that we're going to go see. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking about in my class is trade. So I'm actually, my focus is international economics and do a lot about trade. So we're going to learn something about the importance of trade in this thing called the Special Economic Zone to the development of Xiamen. Actually, just recently, I think it was the 35th anniversary of Xiamen's designation as a special economic zone. So we'll talk about that kind of stuff. This is, I think, the name of it is Zhongshan Road. This is a very famous shopping street in Xiamen. My only experience with this road is I was taken here and I was trying to find a contact solution. I wear contacts. And I was not able to find it. But I understand it's also a very famous, no, I eventually was, yes. But this is a very famous place to go in the city. It's like really nice shopping. It's really nicely constructed. This place right here, this is on a small island called Gulangyu.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really amazing place. I think has it been designated like a World Heritage Site or something like that? I can't remember. I think so, yeah. So it's this really nice, what can you tell us about it?
I forget, I went there when I was a primary school student.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there almost a few years ago.
Okay.
And it's pretty business type now.
Oh, it is, okay, yeah. Touristy?
So all I can tell, basically there's a beach, like a small part of it.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a bridge, something like, they can call it like stone bridge, that's in it.
Yeah, it's really nice though. It's a really scenic area. It's also, for some reason, there's a lot of instruments here, like musical instruments, isn't there? There's like some kind of an instrument museum. If I
Yes,
remember correctly.
there is a piano museum.
That's right. Yeah.
On the island.
Yeah. I forget the exact history of that. I think it was like Westerners brought a bunch of instruments there or something, and then they were all left behind. I don't know. I don't exactly know.
Well, part of the history also, Shaman, that is interesting is that it was one of the treaty ports that was opened in the 1840s.
Yeah.
It was at that time called Amoy.
Yeah.
So it has a long history as an important trading.
And I think Gulanyu was where a lot of foreigners lived during that time. Yeah.
And then another piece of history is that from there, during the Chinese, right after the Chinese Civil War, the nationalists fled to Taiwan. They kept a little island, Jinmen or Quemoy, right offshore. And you can actually view that island that is held by the nationalists.
Yeah. To today, it's
Right,
still
to
controlled
today.
by
It is
Taiwan,
still so.
right off the coast. Yeah.
And they used to shell each other on a daily basis.
So we won't get shelled while we're there. Don't worry about that. But yeah. And then this is a temple. I can't remember the name of it. It was one of the ones from the itinerary. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. So again, Xiamen I think is similar. I mean, it also has good food, by the way. I think especially seafood. Xiamen is known a lot for
Yes,
seafood.
and the Zhongshan Road is also a good place to eat.
Okay. Yeah. All like food. The food is amazing in China. That's one thing I have to say. Like, I am so excited about the food that we're going to have when we're on this trip. I wish I had put a picture of it on here. I just didn't think of it as I was making the slides. Yeah.
Speaking of food, food is included as part of fees. We have to pay for our.
So your daily meals actually are on your own. Yeah, we are going to cover meals associated with travel. So like if we are taking a weekend trip or something like that, or if we're like on a bus trip somewhere, then that's going to be included. But like your day-to-day breakfast, lunch, and dinner actually is going to be on your own. But it is very cheap. Like
$10
for a day, probably.
No, for a lunch or for.
Wow, I definitely ate way cheaper than that when I was. Yeah.
It's average kind of. If you like the KFC is lower than $10, but some restaurant is higher than $10.
You don't go that far to have KFC.
Yeah, there's all kinds of really cheap options. Like when we were in Kaifeng probably had a lower cost of living, I guess, in Xiamen. But there was a place right outside of where we were staying that in the morning would sell buns. It's like really good breakfast. It was like, do you remember how much those were? It was like 1 kuai for a bun or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very cheap.
So it was like you could eat for like $1. So it's
$10 a day would be more than enough.
As long as you're not like going to KFC, or as long as you're not getting a fancy meal, you can definitely
it's
feed
much
yourself.
better than US, trust me.
Yeah.
I got this.
It's not the same restaurant.
So yeah, KFC is better in China.
It's not the
Absolutely.
same restaurant.
It's not at all. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we're gonna have kitchen facilities. No. But you'll probably have like a water boiler. So if you want to make instant noodles or something, you can definitely do that. Sorry, yeah, we're not gonna have a kitchen. So that's just kind of a brief overview of the cities. They're going to be amazing places. There's great things to go see in either of them. I just put a few links here to some places if you want to go online and find some more information. I really, really like the Lonely Planet guides to both of these cities. Let's see, where is it? So like, for instance, if I go to the Xiamen Lonely Planet website, you don't actually have to buy anything. Oops, where'd it go? So don't be like tricked into buying their books or anything like that, but see like down here in detail, you can find all kinds of information about the city. So like somebody asked about money. So here you can find like some information about how much you might expect to spend on meals, transportation, rooms, things like that. Information about bargaining. So has anybody here done any like bargaining before when they've been shot? Oh, of course. Put your hand down, of course. Yeah. So this is also a really important thing when we go to a tourist site and you're looking to buy souvenirs. You got to be prepared to bargain. That's just going to be expected. And it's a little uncomfortable to begin with. I'm sure that our Chinese friends will be able to help us just learn a little something about bargaining. So definitely, I recommend looking at these. I also really like this one. If you want to just view some of the weird stuff that's around Taiwan, there's like Cat Village. There's some kind of weird big shoe. The modern toilet restaurant also, if you want to go there. So I tried to just find some interesting stuff for you to take a look at. I recommend taking a look at those. Oops. And that's kind of all I had for an overview of the cities themselves. Yeah.
Are you guys going to go over where you're going to cover your classes, what books you're going to have, that kind of thing?
That would be the subject of our next orientation.
Yeah, our next orientation will be focused on the academic portion of the study abroad. We'll have maybe not finalized syllabi, but we'll have syllabi that kind of spell out and give you a pretty good sense of what it is we're going to be doing.
And hopefully by then we can also have Canvas, like have you set up a Canvas so you can use some stuff in there too.
So what other questions? Yeah, let's have some questions.
Now, I just want to say that when you buy something, if it's a $100, it is after tax.
Oh yeah, tax is included.
Yeah.
In the price. Yeah. So that's something weirdly American that we don't
Because
include taxes on the price.
actually,
Yeah.
it is like 11% tax, but if from other countries, 17%.
Oh really? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
It's already included.
Okay.
And when you eat out, you don't have to, you are not expected to leave a tip.
Yeah.
Do they get offended? Because when I went to Europe, sometimes, like, you know, I was trying to tip just out of my, what I felt comfortable doing. Some waiters and stuff were actually offended by it. Is that considered a slight or anything?
I don't know. If you tried to tip somebody, would they be offended in China, do you think?
Sometimes their management would
take it.
Okay.
They would suggest not to do that.
Yeah, I would just.
Japanese travelers coming here,
Yeah.
tips or gratuities automatic anywhere you go in that country. So they come to America and they don't know, they don't worry about it. So, you know, they get a lot of flack from waiters and stuff.
So for us, we won't need to worry about it. So just don't worry about it.
When we're living in the schools, is there like places to wash your clothes and stuff? Or?
Oh, that's a good question about laundry and so on. I mean, there's always the option, which I usually do, is wash a t-shirt in the sink. That's just me, maybe. But if you have laundry you can do, usually universities have some kind of a laundry facility. It's not necessarily a do-it-yourself laundromat type thing, but a place where you can take your laundry, a bag of laundry, leave it there, and they'll do your laundry pick up the next day or later that afternoon or something.
Yeah. Do we pay for that?
Yeah, but
that'll
we
be
have to pay for
your
it.
responsibility.
If there isn't one in the university that we're living in, there should be one nearby in the local area.
Usually, I've just washed in the sink.
And that's what I do.
It's pretty easy.
The thing is that to keep in mind, however, that if you do laundry in your room, it's going to take a long time to dry. So take your article that you've washed, put it on a towel. Towels will be provided, so you don't need to bring towels. But take it and blot it really well, and then hang it up. Because otherwise, it's going to kind of just
Especially in
mold
the
and
humidity,
mildew.
it'll take forever.
It can take days, literally.
So make sure that it's like a workflow management problem.
Yes.
Like
Plan ahead.
you're planning ahead, you're doing small amounts constantly if you want to do it in your room. Otherwise, Dr. Lee, there was a question about laundry facilities.
Oh, well, the laundry, just like last year, there's commercial operations near or on campus that you can use, or like what I do at least, I will just do it myself with my hands. You have that option too, of course. But if you don't want to do that, then you can always use the commercial operation. And sometimes it can be a little bit expensive.
Yeah, I was surprised at how expensive it was. It was actually one of the only things, when we were in Kaifeng at least, that was one of the only things that was more expensive in China than in the US was laundry. But yeah, do you know, can we ask our hosts if there are laundry facilities on campus?
Like a coin laundry would be perfect.
Something like that.
No, not coin laundry.
There's no coin laundry?
You would take it in, and then they would just count it and count your pieces.
Usually it's by the piece. Yeah.
That's why it's expensive. It's all hand done. Okay.
while we're talking about clothing, I would also mention that bring at least 2 pairs of shoes. We will be doing probably not miles and miles of walking, but maybe more walking than you're accustomed to doing around here. And I would bring a pair of sandals and maybe a pair of tennis shoes or something, so that you have, that's personally what I do anyway, so you have something to change into.
Couple questions. Will we have access to like a gym while we're at these different universities?
Good question. I will ask our partner over there.
Yeah, I gotta get my small answer.
So what I do actually, do you guys, so if you like lift or something like that, there are these bands, like resistance bands that you travel with. There's like Black Mountain is the brand that I use. That's what I always pack with me.
And he'll be leading exercise class every morning.
I will not be.
So, generally speaking, our itinerary on a daily basis, we're not going to be doing stuff until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, walk down, or something. We have more or less freedom to roam about, as long as we don't act like a jackass, right?
Yeah, we will ask that you not act like a jackass.
Okay.
Generally.
I have a birthday and a live date that I want to celebrate.
Okay. So, you know, exercise moderation when you're celebrating. But yeah, I mean, we encourage you to go out and experience the city, and that might mean having a couple of drinks or something like that. But I mean, we do have codes of conduct that apply while you're a part of the program, and so excessive drinking or causing trouble or stuff like that would violate those, and that might be. I'm not like trying to say you're going to do this.
No, I understand. You have to tell the room that.
Yeah. So, you know, we do have a process for dealing with behavioral issues. It's rare that we have had to, you know, put those procedures in place, but it can result in you being sent home from the program. So carefully review. I think those will be distributed to you as part of the, what do they call it? OGA, Office of Global, whatever. Review the expectations in terms of conduct, because we do strictly enforce those.
So there is a separate Office of Global Affairs orientation that is mandatory.
Yeah.
And I believe that this year is online, but that will cover all of the things that, you know, about code of conduct, cultural interaction, all of that kind of thing. So.
And the codes of conduct go above and beyond just compliance with the law. Okay, so we do expect that you're on your best behavior. I mean, we're not trying to put a straitjacket on you or anything like that, but if your behavior becomes disruptive to the group, then that can become an issue. Not saying that that's what you're asking about.
I don't have any feelings left to hurt, but I understand.
Okay.
For like every day on the weekends, is it like free time, or like some weekends you guys have set up field trips, or?
Some weekends we do have stuff already arranged.
But some weekends might be free.
I think we have some free days on weekends.
Yeah. So as he was saying earlier, we try to make sure that we work in enough free time that you guys have some downtime and time to go out and kind of explore on your own. So, yeah.
It was sort of briefly mentioned, but I was wondering like what the average price for a decent dish meal would be, and if it's much different between Taipei and Shanghai.
Gosh, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
I don't know either.
Do you think that's any idea?
It really depends on the restaurant you're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yes, it depends.
Yeah, that changes all the time too. And then as far as my impression is that in Xiamen it could be not any less expensive than it is in Taipei.
So that's.
About the same. Right?
Let's see, where's the.
One thing you can do if you want to, you can just Google currency converter, and you can get to a currency converter and see, well, what does NT 6,000, what does that translate to in US dollars?
So this is not 6,000 US dollars.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, it's the same.
Just one.
So, you know, this is probably, I'd say, a little on the high side. This is probably for the average traveler who is looking for like a pretty good meal. It'll be different if you are eating at like a small restaurant, or if you're eating at like in the night market or something like that. It's going to be pretty cheap.
Okay, so I would like to so over there is 3,000. So all the money you can use in China will be RMB, right?
Yeah.
So
Right, yeah.
3,000. So personally, as a Chinese, I live in China. I can spend 3,000 RMB in China for 3 months. I do personally. like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a student. So when I was a student, I can spend 2,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 in 2 months or 3 months. That's the average.
So what is 2,000 in?
Okay, hold on.
2,000 like 300. 300, yeah, around that.
So that's about 500 bucks.
For 2,000?
For 3,000.
Oh, for 3,000.
500 bucks.
Yeah.
Like 476.
Yeah, it's divided by 6.
6.3.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Okay, for approximation purposes. but-
我上次回国就换了3.3倍吗？
Yeah,
Yeah. You have another question?
a real quick asterisk, if you could find out about gym facilities nearby, I would appreciate it, because I do like to use the gym.
Sure. I would like to know as well. Is it possible to ask about access to athletic facilities?
I will ask about that.
Yeah.
If they let us use the university facilities, I'm sure they're more than sufficient for what I need.
That's what they did for us in Taiwan.
Right, in Kaifeng, we did have that. Sometimes we do have that. In Beida, in the old time, they won't let us in. But in Kaifeng, they do let us in, so it depends on the host.
Yeah.
So, what do we need to do to get WeChat set up started?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, can you guys show them
Yeah,
how to
sure.
use the WeChat?
Oh, you got it?
Oh, some of them can do
I already got one.
You got it.
My phone's dead, though.
If you have an email, it's I think.
Well, if it's Gmail, see, that's a problem. That's what I'm
No.
saying.
You can use Gmail to apply on WeChat. Then you can just use the WeChat.
Make sure that.
And without nothing about the send me. Let me double check that.
So for those of you who came in late, make sure that you send a picture of your passport information page to Dr. Lee.
Yeah, Nick, you came in a little late. Make sure you take a picture of your passport and send it to me.
So until we have that, we cannot give you the letter you need for your visa.
Should we send the picture?
You send it, you don't need it, but I will talk to you guys a little bit later. You guys would have to fill up a form and travel to Seattle to do a little interview with the Taiwan Economic and Cultural Bureau office over here. You have to make an appointment. That's the best.
This is Dr. Lee's email address that you can send the.
Passport photo.
I'll just sit down.
Yeah, but
It's okay. I feel safe.
if I have your contact information now, I don't have it yet. Well, I can find them. I can find the contact information and send Lee also. And then I will send you the form that you can download, print it out, and sign.
Okay,
fill it
so
in.
go.
What's the specific time? Like when?
When? Once I have your email.